Hey guys, welcome back to my Summer Slow Cooker Dinners to Beat the Heat Part 2. I am so grateful that you all seem to really enjoy Part 1 of this series, and if you didn't check that out yet, I will have it linked down below, of course. So I hope you will like Part 2 just as much. We are making stuffed shells, jerk chicken tacos, sausage and peppers, lemon garlic butter flounder, and Thai basil chicken. We've got a lot to cover, so let's go get started. Alright, so starting out with our slow cooker stuffed shells, I have a large bowl here and I am adding 32 ounces of ricotta cheese, 1 egg, 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese, 2 garlic cloves minced, a 1/4 cup of parsley chopped, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, as well as a 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and we are just going to mix that all together until thoroughly combined and place that in a piping bag or zip top bag with the tip cut off. So I greased my slow cooker with some non-stick cooking spray and I am ladling a 1/2 cup of marinara sauce on the bottom. And this is an optional step. I have 1 pound of ground Italian sausage that I cooked earlier. I know the whole point is to beat the heat in the summer and not have to turn the oven or stove on. So if you want to skip this step, that is absolutely up to you. Or sometimes I like to cook it early in the morning before it gets too hot and just warm it up in the microwave later. You could also do the same thing with ground beef. So that's a long-winded way of saying that I added 1/2 of that meat mixture on top of the marinara sauce, and now I have a 12-ounce box of uncooked jumbo pasta shells that I am piping that ricotta mixture into, and we're just going to lay them all around the bottom, and that should be about half the box. And then we are just going to repeat the layers and add another 1/2 cup or so of marinara sauce, the rest of the meat mixture if you're using it, and then once again we are going to pipe the filling into the rest of the shells and layer it on top. It's almost like a stuffed shell casserole kind of thing going on. So then we just want to ladle the remaining marinara sauce on top. Total we have a 24-ounce jar of marinara sauce here. And then to that I am adding 1.5 cups of water, just trying to be careful to keep it around the edges. If it gets into the filling of the shells, it's really not a big deal. And if the water looks murky, that's because I added it to the container of marinara sauce, just so we get all of the good bits. And then on the top here, I'm going to sprinkle a 1/2 teaspoon each of dried basil, dried oregano, and garlic powder. And then we are going to cover this and cook it on low for 5 to 6 hours, 3 to 4 hours on high. And in the last 15 to 20 minutes, you want to remove the lid and add 2 more cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. And then we're just going to cook that on high until the cheese is melted. And then we just want to garnish it with some more fresh parsley or basil. I just love that the pasta shells cook right in the slow cooker and it tastes like you boiled them and baked these in the oven. So now moving on to our slow cooker jerk chicken tacos. In the bowl of my slow cooker here, I am adding a 1/4 cup of orange juice, 1 tablespoon of lime juice, 4 cloves of garlic minced using my handy dandy garlic press. I will have linked down below. And then in a bowl here, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of jerk seasoning and 1 tablespoon of oil, and I'm just forming a paste there. And then I have 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I am just ladling this paste onto, and we are going to rub it all into the chicken. And then once those are thoroughly covered in the paste, we are going to add them right into the liquid of the slow cooker, as well as 1 teaspoon of salt. And then we are going to cover that and cook it on high for 2 hours or on low for 3 to 4 hours, or until the chicken is tender and pulls apart easily with a fork. And then I just remove the chicken from the bowl and shred it all up. You can add it back into the juices if you prefer to just keep it warm that way, or serve them immediately. I like to serve mine on warm flour or corn tortillas with some nice pineapple salsa. I will have a recipe linked down below for my pineapple salsa if you are interested. I just love how juicy and tender this chicken gets, and that jerk rub on the outside of the chicken is so nice and crusty. It tastes like it was grilled. Now let's move on to our slow cooker sausage and peppers. So to my slow cooker, I am adding a can of crushed tomatoes, 28 ounces, And to that I am adding 3 cloves of garlic minced, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of dried basil, 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, 1 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and we're just going to give that a stir. And then I have 2 large bell peppers seeded and sliced into thin strips, and 1 small onion sliced into thin half-moon slices. And I'm just going to scatter that all around into the sauce. And then we are going to nestle 1 pound of raw Italian sausage links. You can use hot or sweet, whatever you prefer. So then we are going to cover this and cook it on low for 4 to 5 hours, high for 2 to 3 hours. And once it is cooked, we are going to sprinkle in a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese and a 1/4 cup of fresh basil. And we like to serve these on toasted sub rolls. You could also serve it with pasta or rice, or even as is, it is great. So moving on to our lemon garlic butter flounder. You can use all kinds of different fish for this recipe. It just really makes the most tender, beautiful fish. So I have 4 flounder fillets, boneless and skinless, in the bottom of my slow cooker here. And I am pouring on 3 tablespoons of melted, cooled butter, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and then I am sprinkling on 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of paprika, a half a teaspoon of thyme, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, as well as 1 tablespoon of fresh parsley. And we are just going to cook this on low for 3 to 4 hours. You could cook it on high, but I think you get a much more tender fish on low. It could get a little bit dried out on high. To keep with the no heating up the kitchen theme, I use the microwavable 90-second rice pouch and steam in bag broccoli so that I'm not turning on my oven for anything. And now last but certainly not least is my Thai coconut basil chicken. So I have 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast that I am adding to my slow cooker. And then to that I am adding 1 can of coconut milk. I believe it was 14 ounces. 1.5 tablespoons of curry powder, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of lime juice, 1 teaspoon of fish sauce, 1 teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper, as well as 1 small red onion chopped, 1 jalapeno chopped, which is optional if you don't like spice, and 4 cloves of garlic minced. And we're just going to stir that around. And of course, I got distracted by my favorite little helper in the kitchen. We need our basil. So we're adding dried and fresh. So to the slow cooker now, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of dried basil. And we are just going to cook that on low for 8 hours, high for 4 hours. In the last 30 minutes, we're going to add a slurry here. So I have 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and 1 tablespoon of water. So I'm going to remove the chicken and shred that up and add the slurry to the liquid. And then we're just going to place the chicken back into the slow cooker and cook it another 30 minutes on high. And then we are going to add about 1/3 cup of fresh basil chopped at the end. And again, we like to serve this over rice. You could do noodles or even just as is. And there you have it, my summer slow cooker dinners to beat the heat part 2. I really hope you all enjoyed coming along and making these dinners with me. They are some of our favorites that are always in my summer dinner rotation. There is nothing I hate more than heating up the kitchen when it's 90 degrees outside. And these do not lack on flavor. They are so satisfying, the whole family loves them, and they taste like you are cooking over the stove all day long. I am so very grateful for all the love that I received on part 1 of this series, and please be sure to leave me a comment and let me know what you think, if you try any of them, if you have any questions. As always, I love hearing from you guys, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.